In today's program, we've got an entrepreneur, a business person who has come to talk to us all the way from South Africa. The business person is called Mr. Molefi. Mr. Molefi, welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Molefi, we try to inspire, motivate, and encourage other entrepreneurs and those that may be trying to run their businesses by making sure that we invite different business people onto the platform to talk to us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on your program. I really appreciate that.
We would want our viewers to benefit from this interaction. Maybe would you start by giving us your brief background in terms of how did you start to be involved in entrepreneurship?
Maybe for starters, I'm a Christian, and I've been a Christian for the last how many years that I can't remember. From 16-year-old, now I'm 56. And then the way the thing started is that I studied business, specifically accounting. I'm a chartered accountant by profession. And then in my local church, because I was a treasurer for as many years as I knew locally, we started promoting people having more than one streams of cash. And as I was leading that, it was just natural that I decided, while I'm still in corporate, I must also get extra cash. Basically, how it all started, it was to say, if you were to preach something to the people, you rather also show by example. And that's how I started. The whole thing started by saying, let me start slower while I'm in corporate, then start to build a business on the other side.
Thank you for that. From your own exposure and experience, for the benefit of our viewers, why is it important for one to be involved in running a business following Christian principles and values?
It's important to follow, critically important, super critical to follow business principles. In fact, I also speak on business issues with many people, and I tell them that actually, when God gave us those principles, he knew exactly that this is the way to success. Just to give you an example, if you take one of the fruit of the spirit, which is love, it's a very good base to start your business. You cannot be able to sell your private product and service to the people you don't love. And you need to demonstrate that to them. And when you love the people, it becomes super difficult for you to cheat them. And you are able to relate to their needs whenever they come to you. You are able to say, yes, I understand where you're coming from. And then as you show love to them, they are actually becoming your ambassadors. Because sometimes we forget that we are not only selling a product, we are also selling a service. And love underpins all that. Honesty is one of them. It's a very important aspect of the Christian life, to be honest in your dealing with the people. Humility. As I know that many people may think that when you are humble, you are not a good business person, but you should be humble enough. Because you know why? Somewhere down the line, you're going to make a mistake. And it takes a humble person to say, I've done a mistake, I acknowledge, and I'm going to correct it. And when you do that, you get your customers to trust you because they know that you're humble enough to be able to say that was a mistake and this is how I'm going to correct it. We can talk a lot about them. There are many other principles that we can talk about them. One of them is in the patience. You need to be patient in this business because things don't always happen the way you need to have faith. So business principles are important. In fact, funny enough, even Jesus went to the business people. When he came, he took to Peter, they were business people, they were fishers of men. Then he said, okay, I'll make you the fishers of, they were fishers, and he said, I'll make you fishers of me. He went to the people who understand business. So it is important.
Thank you very much for that. Now, a lot of people then would ask you to say, if somebody is involved in the ministry, why should one get involved in business? They can as well be making enough from the ministry. From your own understanding, why then should one be involved in ministry?
In both ministry and business, because one feeds on the other. And we've got a lot of examples in the Bible, and it's not about preaching here. We also know that Abraham was very rich. He had a lot of businesses. And we also know that our Lord himself, he was from the family of the carpenter. So the business and ministry actually work hand in hand. The other one needs the other. You can't just say, I don't want this one and the other one. And the principle that we get from the business works in ministry. The same principles that I mentioned, you should be able to love the people that you lead. You should be able, as a leader, as a pastor or whoever, you be able to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Those same principles apply both sides, because it's all about leadership and showing people the direction and the vision. So both of them are important, really. I don't see that we can separate the two. They are very important. They all work closely to each other. As long as you're honest, as long as you're humble enough, as long as you do what you do with integrity and you have got a vision.
Thank you very much for that. We're just going to go for a very short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the accounting profession that you've been involved with for a long time.
Thank you.
To our viewers across the globe, welcome back. We're talking to a man of God, a man who has been involved in the ministry. He's also running a business. His expertise is involved in financial accounting. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
Now we would want to understand the preparation of financial statements and or the actual preparation of accounts. How is this important when one comes to running of a business?
The preparation of financial accounting is super critical. In fact, yesterday I had to go quickly and read. If you look at the book of Ezra, when the king gave them, King Assyria gave them gold and silver, they actually accounted for each one of them in terms of category. How many spools of silver, how many what of gold, everything was accounted for. So it is important to account properly. And although these two ways I might use them, but they are very important. It's not only to account, it's also to show accountability. You are able to account for the things that have been put under your custody. So accounting properly actually shows accountability on itself. So that's why I think it's important to make sure that we can account for what we have. If you look at Paul in 2 Corinthians, he is saying, you have given us this gift, and I want to make sure that nobody can blame us in the way we have dealt with this gift. So even in the church, we still need to account for the tithes and the offerings so that we can give confidence to the people or the stakeholders who actually contribute to it. It's just a good thing to be able to account for everything that has been put under your custody. Super critical.
Thank you very much. Now we may have people who may say, whilst the accounting experts have prepared these financial statements, what are some of the things that they can pick from these accounts which are important for decision making?
Very, very important. Actually, accounting statements are meant for diverse number of stakeholders. You have creditors who are interested in there. You've got employees who are interested in there. You've got the government who is interested in there. You've got investors that are interested. Every one of them is interested in the aspect of those financial statements. The creditors want to know that you, as a business, you have the ability to pay them back the commitment you have made. The government or the state is interested to know that the taxes that you are paying are actually correct. the investors are saying, are we getting value for money? Are we getting the good returns from this organization? Is this organization still, or this business still in the right track? And that applies to even the non-profit making organizations, because most of those, they may not be on the bottom line, but they may be there for the purpose of providing a service. They are saying, when you look at this business, we'll still be able to provide this service that we want to provide to the organizations. Take a church, for example. If the tithes are not, if you look at the financial statements, and you can compare from one year to the other that the tithes and offering are going down and the expenses are going up, you know that for sure that this organization is not going to be around for a long time. So the stakeholders who are the members need to be able to tell and say, we don't think we are running this organization properly, given what we see from the financial statement. We are making losses from year to year, so we are not likely to be around for a long time. So the financial statements give different stakeholders different information on them. Some of in a normal business, we also have institutional investors who are looking at any business that we have started. Entrepreneurs, most of them, they start a business not for the purpose of keeping it, but they also want to resell it at a higher profit later. So institutional investors look at it and say, is there value into this organization? Are they making profit? Are they continue to make profit, or are they in an organization that is actually declining? Financial statements are super critically important and give different information to different people.
Thank you very much for that. Now, I may just want to find out from you, there is an aspect to do with forensic auditing. How different is forensic auditing from the normal auditing that we know?
I must start by saying, and I'm going to explain this, but we also need to understand that all these disciplines are different. They are all important, and they serve different purposes. If you look at the auditing, we can separate it into external and internal auditing, and we can also look at forensic. Let me talk about auditing first quickly, that the external audit is focusing on whether the financial statement that have been prepared, they fairly present the financial position of the organization. The internal audit is focused on whether the organization has got good controls, governance, and risk management. So that's their focus. When we talk about forensic auditing, forensic, normally they focus on something that it is an allegation that something has gone wrong. When the auditors audit, they may be auditing widely, but not as deep. Then the forensic, they are focused narrowly, but they go deeper. The reason they grow that is because some of the evidence they need, it may be used in the courts. So they need to come with the evidence that pinpoint who did what and why. The auditors can come and say something went wrong, the books don't balance. And they write a report that the books of this organization do not balance, which is the fact. But then someone might say, let's see why is it not balanced. Let's go and investigate the reason the financial statements are not balancing. And then let's see who is responsible for them not to balance. In that process, they go deeper and they get to know to the who's and why. So what the internal audit or the external audit do can fit into the work of the forensic. But equally, once forensic has identified who did what, they may just pass the report to the auditors, and the auditors will have to determine what controls do we need then to close the loopholes identified by the forensic, because by their nature, they just want evidence. They may not, some of them do identify the root cause, but they don't necessarily, that's not their focus. The focus will say who did what, why, and by when, so that we can actually charge the person.
Thank you very much for that explanation there. You have been involved in various aspects of finance, auditing, and production of management reports. My last question is going to focus on what are some of the common mistakes that you may have picked, which if you had to share with us, they would help other business people to grow.
Okay. To help the business people to grow, particularly the entrepreneurs, I would say to them, let's not focus on turnover, because most business people, entrepreneurs, they don't understand the difference between turnover and profit. That they may mistake the fact that every money that comes in belongs to the organization, while it may not be true, because you still need to pay salaries, you still need to pay the receiver, you still need to pay. So whatever is left is what one should be focusing on. Secondly, we also need to be focusing on the compliance with the rules and the policies of the country. Because the company that is profitable, that is making money, can actually go belly up simply because they didn't comply with a tiny little law, but which is more critical. One example is the use of child labor can actually wipe you off, not only from the penalties that you do, but also from the reputational effect that comes into it. So that's one part. Number two is, don't wait until the end of the year to prepare a financial statement. They must be prepared over the period. Some small entrepreneurs focus on putting all the documents in a box and then giving to the accountant at the end of the year. The accountant only tell them at the end of the year that you are bankrupt, while they should have been doing that over there so that they can see where they are going wrong. So those are the part of the things that I would say, please focus on this. These are learning points. I can talk a lot if we have time.
Thank you very much for the time that we have had so far. We hope to invite you again when we can also focus and concentrate more in terms of running business as a Christian person, as a person who is respecting the values of a Christian. Once again, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for affording us this time to talk to us.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
God bless.
Okay.